So is this as good as everyone seems to think it is? We'll come back to that at the end of the video. So this is my friend's watch. He's owned it since new. He doesn't wear it a huge amount. It's kind of a special occasions watch, and as such, it is in immaculate condition, as you'll see as we go through this video. So as I say, it's not my watch. I've known about this watch for a good, well, the whole time we've known him really, so over a decade. And ever since I've been doing YouTube, I've been trying to think about, is it worth getting it on the channel? And I think it is. It's a fantastic watch. People talk about it. People love it. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. So I'm going to have to refer to my notes as we go through this. So you'll have to excuse me, as always, if there are pauses. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about the history. As always, I'll break the video up into the watch head, the bracelet, the clasp, the movement, and then just a bit of a summary. So I'm sure if you're watching this, you'll know exactly what this is. It's the Rolex Kermit, reference 16610LV. This was released to celebrate 50 years of the Submariner, and it was in 2003, and the production run ran for about 7 years, I think it was. So just the really basics about the watch. So it's a 40mm diameter. It's 48mm lug to lug. It's 12.8mm thick and a 20mm lug width. I think it tapers down to 16, and then it's 136 grams. So it's an extremely well proportioned watch. It's a really nice weight. My 7-inch wrist, I would actually have it one link in more than this, so it'll probably be, I don't know, another gram or two than what it says. But this is my 7-inch wrist, oval wrist, and I think it looks absolutely spot on. I like it rather a lot. Okay, so that's the basics out of the way. Looking at the case, I think the case is really well proportioned, and I think this is where the Pelagos 39 is a nice route back into for Tudors for this. And the reason I say that is I've had a couple of Black Bays, the Black Bay GMT 258s, and I always thought the bezel was too thin, the case was too big, and it was just the wrong proportions. So if you look at the Pelagos 39 now, it's got a nice thick bezel, a decent mid case, and a decent case back. Much like this watch, has a nice thick bezel, nice thin mid case, and decent case back. So I think the side-on proportions, which a lot of people don't really care about, but I do, and I think it makes a massive difference, and it also gives you more to grip on too with the bezel as well. Obviously, it's 300 meters water resistant. That's a given. If you're going 300 meters, well done to you. What do we think about the finishing of the watch? The brushing's really nice. It's really fine. It's kind of just as good as any kind of modern Rolexes or Tudors or whatever you want, or Omegas if you want to compare it to that. Obviously, it's got a nice high polished side. There is a very, very small chamfer on the case on these, which I really like. It's a really small detail, but it just kind of lifts the visual aspect of the watch as opposed to having a flat side, which a lot of the modern Rolexes have. There's a very, very small chamfer on it, which I do like a lot. What you will see is, even though it's a lug to lug of 48 or whatever it was, I reckon I haven't got calipers, but I think it'll be longer than that, because you'll see with the links, they don't fall straight down. So again, if I get this one, you'll see that they tuck in and come underneath the case. That is a true lug to lug measurement from tip to tip. But on this watch, you'll see that they don't do that. They come down, but they actually stick out past the lug. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's a little bit closer to 50 millimeters lug to lug. But yeah, it looks absolutely fine. As we all know from Rolexes, there's nothing on the case back anyway. Still got the original sticker on. Never had the bracelet changed, so it's absolutely immaculate, apart from there, which may be where it's been done by the shop for some reason. I don't know why the shop people, the AD would have actually changed the bracelet, but a couple of case back markings, but nothing major. But yeah, it's in absolutely immaculate condition. I like the case. I like the chamfer of the case. I like the finishing. It's a nice fine grain on the brushing, and you can see it kind of follows the lugs along the lines there, and it's got a nice, yeah, it's nice. It's well finished. It's what you'd kind of hope for and what you would expect. So the bezel, for me, the bezel is the thing that makes this case, and that's what is obvious. It's exactly the right colour green for me personally. I like ceramic materials. I've got no issue with ceramics and the greens, but I think the Kermit, I don't know the reference numbers, I'm not massively into my Rolexes, and the Hulk, again, don't know the reference, they're too green for me. The Hulk, especially with the dial and the colour of the green, isn't quite right. The shade of this green is absolutely spot on. Ceramic or not, obviously it's an aluminium insert. If they could get this colour in ceramic, you'd be onto an absolute winner in that case. And here we go. It's a nice bezel action. I've got to be honest, I think I prefer the bezel action on my Pelagos. It feels a bit smoother. There's not as much resistance in the bezel on the Pelagos compared to this particular sub, and that might be indicative of its age. So it'd be interesting to look at a more modern sub and see if it has a similar action. Obviously it's a 120 click, so you can time every 30 seconds, whereas that's only 60 clicks, so you can time every minute. So it's a really nice bezel. I absolutely love the colour of it. The action is actually better on more modern, I'd imagine it's better on more modern Rolexes, but it's definitely better on more modern Tudors. But yeah, for me, the party piece of this watch is the bezel, and specifically the colour of it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. The dial is exactly what you'd come to expect from Rolex. It's a really nice dial. Like modern Tudors, and this Pelagos is no different. I think it has too much text on it. Hang on a sec, I don't want to clash the watches together. Neither of them need that much text on the bottom or the top, quite frankly. I don't know why they do it. It's unnecessary. It clutters the dial. If you just had the Crown and Rolex on the top and then Submariner and depth rating on the bottom, I think it would be a far cleaner looking dial. I'm also not a fan of the Cyclops, personal thing. If it was my watch, I know people will hate me for this, but I would just get it taken off. And then if I decide to sell the watch, I would get it put back on. The dial itself is lovely and dark and black, and it's completely flawless. It does look really nice. I like the markers. Applied markers. They are white gold rhodium plated like the hands. Obviously you've got the standard Mercedes hands, and then a lollipop stick second hand. It's a really nice dial. It's exactly what you'd expect from a Submariner. So yeah, no issues with any of that. It's really nice. I do like the look of the bezel. I think, again, like the more modern Tudors like this, the bezel teeth are a lot nicer on the black bay line. They're really small teeth. They just don't do it for me. But these bezels look great, really chunky, really nice design, really easy to grip. No back play in that at all. None. It's just a bit stiff. But very, very nice indeed. So yeah, other than the text on the dial and the Cyclops, I think it is absolutely ideal. The crown itself, let's have a look. So the crown, nice and easy to use. Pops out nicely. Oh, it's a nice one. You can hear it ticking. But it's a nice action. Yeah, that's nice actually. Oh, nice screw in as well. So when you unscrew it, got a nice little pop. And then when you screw it down, oh, that's really smooth. Nice. Good times. Right, hang on. Yeah, it's rougher. Nice click when it pops out. Nice to screw in, but it's definitely not as smooth a thread on the crown as the Rolex. So yeah, really, really nice. I'm not comparing the two, by the way. I just happen to have it with me and I'm just wearing it. So very, very nice crown action, nice and grippy. The crown guards don't get in the way, and it's not sharp, and it doesn't interfere with your, because it's not sharp like I've had on my IWC, it doesn't kind of leave marks on your finger. It's really, really nice crown to use, actually. Very, very good indeed. Very impressed with that. This isn't a flat 4, which people will be aware about. Slightly different font on the floor, flatter across the top. They're the more expensive, more desirable watches, which just the world of Rolex, man. I don't get it, but fewer of them, hence more expensive. This wouldn't put me off this watch at all. I absolutely love it. The bracelet's actually really nice. One thing that surprised me is that it's not polished on the edges. I'm sure modern Submariners are polished on the edges, where this is fully brushed. So normally you get a polishing on the side of the bracelet, because it then have continuity between the case being polished, the sides being polished here, and then it goes into a polished clasp. And as you'll see on the clasp as well, it's polished on this side, but this side is brushed, which is absolutely bizarre. So I'm very surprised it's not polished all the way down, and I'm very surprised that bit of the clasp is polished. That bit's polished and that's brushed. Very odd. Don't understand that at all. But what you do have with this is it's not the hollow links. So you've kind of got the best of, if you want to call it vintage, modern vintage. Look at that. There's absolutely no wear in that bracelet at all. And that's probably because it hasn't been worn much, to be fair. But there's no kind of slack in it. It's really solid. And again, because you've got the solid end links, it adds a little bit to the heft. So it doesn't feel like a classic vintage watch. It feels like a modern classic watch, which is ideal because it means you wouldn't be worried about wearing this all the time. So really pleased about that with the bracelet. This is the one I'd go for. I have handled hollow link Rolexes before, and I'm not a fan. I'll be taking those off straight away and putting on something different. So obviously you can see it's got micro adjusting points. As of the age, it is what it is. They're not toolless. None of these watches are at this day and age. Not expecting that. Again, stamped clasp. The stamp feels like it's aged. It's nothing like the modern watches clasps from any decent brand anymore. They're all milled. They're all far firmer. They're all far more solid. Sorry, and they're far more confidence inspiring. Oh man, that looks good. Bloody hell. So the clasp is what it is. It's solid enough to feel solid, comfortable, confidence in it, no problems there. But the using of it is what you'd expect for an old watch like this. An old new stock it may as well be. It's in such good nick. So yeah, the clasp isn't great, but I absolutely was expecting that to be the case. I think the nice thing, like I say, is because it's got the solid end links and the solid links, it actually feels like a modern watch. You wouldn't have any worries about wearing this all the time. So the movement, obviously you can't see the movement. It's COSC certified, which I think is cool for this age. I think that's really good. It's a quick set date. So again, what you want, nice and easy to use. I'll insert an image of the movement itself so you can see it, but it's nothing special. Tried and tested, robust, proven movement, 48-hour power reserve, what you'd expect from the day and age. So the movement is what it is. It's a good workhorse of a movement. I love this watch, right? Is it worth the hype, and is it worth all of the plaudits it gets? It absolutely is. It looks flipping fantastic. It is an absolutely stunning watch. I've said to my friend, if he ever decides to sell it, I want first refusal. I don't think he ever will, but if he does, I absolutely want first refusal on it. It just looks absolutely mega. If I was going to buy a Submariner and he decides to sell this, this is absolutely the one I would get. Even though I'm not a fan of that clasp at all, it's absolutely fine. You can see because it hasn't been polished, the crown, it sticks out, it's really prominent. Oh, bloody hell. It's a really nice watch. So yes, it is absolutely worth whatever hype it has. It is absolutely worth the money. I think these are probably about, you sell it if you got offer from a dealer, I reckon about 12 grand. But if you go on Chrono24, one in this condition from a dealer is 13.5. So if you sold it privately, maybe 12 for a really quick sale, maybe 13, 14 if you're very, very lucky with a strong tailwind and all that type of stuff. But as a watch, one absolute belter. He does also have a Seamaster, so I'll be getting that in at some point as well. It's from the Brosnan era. And I've actually got another mate with another couple of watches that I'll be getting on the channel as well. But I've always wanted to get this one on. I'm glad I have. And I hope you agree. It's just fantastic. It is a lovely, lovely watch. And if I was in the market for a Submariner, this is a Submariner for me. Even with the 13mm thickness, that's got to be without the Cyclops. I thought it'd be a millimetre thicker, but you don't notice it. It makes no difference. Anyway, I waffled on. I love it. As always, if you have any questions, please just let me know.